On this episode of RC Kicks, we're checking out something a little bit different and a little bit bigger. That's this, the Jimny 1.6. Size is king.
In my mouth is a desert, running dry on the tip of my tongue. I can taste your lies, how to measure the love you throw around. I could never hold you down. One of us will have to take a bow. Feeling you so close to me, we drive around.
Hi and welcome to RC Kicks. On today's show, we're going to be reviewing this, the FMS Jimny 1.6 ready to run. It's absolutely huge. But before we kick off on the actual car, let's check out the box because FMS have a thing about doing some pretty decent packaging. So you get a standard box and then you get a sleeve with all the bits and pieces on it, usual specifications, that kind of stuff. But this is the bit that I really like to show you. It's actually a really decent storage case. Everything is molded as it should be in here. Comes with a manual, as you'd expect. So you can store it lovely. There is one small issue, and that is this. Once you fit the roll cage on the car, when you put it in the box, it sits lovely and snug, but you no longer can close it. So it means you have to take this off every time you want to store it. That's a little bit of a missed trick there because you actually have to screw in 4 screws. So taking it off is a bit of a faff because you've also got to take the wheels off really to get access to where the screws are. What they really could have done is have this that it tips forward with some clips or something. That would have been a big help because the packaging that they've produced is really good quality. So when we turn our attentions to the truck, things just get better and better. And I think a big key to that is the scale. Being 1.6, it means it allows them to do so much more detail. You can open the bonnet, you've got your electronics and motor. It's a 35-turn 550 motor. ESC, I think it's a hobby wing, which is a 1040 brushed crawler. Does LiPo and standard NIMH. Battery space is quite large. And you know what I think this is screaming out for? Loads of modifications. If you are a big modding kind of person, I think this is going to give you loads of scope. It's a hard body, which again is brilliant because you can cut and you can adjust it. You could even put a petrol engine in it if you wanted to do that. I think with the windscreen up, it looks a bit more noddy for me, but I do like it when it's down. The driver's side of it with the steering that rotates when the wheels turn is brilliant. Another level of detail. The foam rubber seats are really nice. Me personally, I wish it had doors with windows, but that's just my own personal opinion. You can lower these, but I just think it would add to the scale when you had the windscreen up and the sides up. It just would have looked brilliant. We talked about the roll cage before. Yes, it's great. If it rolls over, it will protect a bit more of the car, but it's a bit of a pain for storage and it's fixed with 4 screws, so taking it off is a bit of a faff. In the rear of the car, you can actually open up the back, drop the back tailgate. So from a realism point of view, it's really good. You could stack it up with lots of scale luggage. You do have lights on the front, big gawping friendly lights on the front, but the indicators don't work. You have to upgrade that and put the LEDs in yourself, even though the light buckets are there. One thing I did notice that was a bit of a shame is these are a little bit on the fallouty sort of thing, so you be careful if you're buying one of these bits do fall out, so you probably want to put your LEDs in and you might want to glue that, because I could see while you're out you'll clip something and you won't see it and then you'll come back and you're missing a light. So that's something just to be a bit careful of. The steering servo on the car is a 15 kg servo, so that should do you proud. Now, one thing is the articulation in this truck is not super high because it's a scale kind of trail truck. It's not going to be an out-and-out crawler. Your sort of angles of attack and departure aren't the best. So don't expect this to be going across massive rocks for sure. It's definitely more a scale sort of trail truck. The tyres themselves are pretty soft, but they are quite thin. But I don't know, the more I look at this, the more it screams modifications and upgrades and stuff like that. Quality wise, I'm quite impressed with it, to be fair. It is really nice. It's not cheap by any means, so you've got to be a real hardened kind of scale person to be looking at this, and then on top of it, to really push it to another level, you're going to be spending a bit more. I would love to dismantle this and paint it up myself and do a little bit more details. Because it's so large, you could go to town on the detail, and you could obviously put a figure in and attach it so that his arms or her arms move. So there's loads of possibilities, and I think that's what really is the best thing about this truck, is the possibilities of what you can do once you've got it. Now, being scale, you get springs. It is quite a stiff suspension. Most of the flex is coming from the tires, so in a bit what we'll do is we'll modify it a bit and take out some of the springs and see if we can soften that up a little bit. Also, I've got some potential tires that we might be able to swap out as well. Drive shafts are plastic with metal ends. As for the transmitter, it's a pretty standard one, works fine, isn't the cheapest feel in the world, but again, it's not super premium either. Personally, on a vehicle of this price point, one thing I've found with these transmitters that I don't like is that there's no foam on the steering. The rest of the transmitter feels okay, and then you've got all your buttons inside which work really well, but it's just a little bit of a touch to progress it up a little bit to when you open up a transmitter and you see it's just plastic. That's the only thing that lets me down on this one. Take standard batteries, 4 of them in the bottom. The manual that comes in the box I have no issues with at all. It's very professional, it's laid out well, it's in 2 languages as far as I can see, English and Chinese. So that's the one thing to keep in mind if English is not your first language, that obviously you might struggle a little bit with some of the instructions. One thing that's really nice is you get metal hinges on the bonnet and the boot as well as the windscreen. So that does feel a little bit more premium, which is really nice, and you're not worried that they're going to kind of wear out and fall off anytime soon. The driver's compartment is highly detailed and is brilliant, to be fair, and has lots of opportunity for you to take it to the next level. I'm pretty sure with a bit of modification you can actually get the dash to light up as well. I think we've covered the basics, so let's not prattle on. Let's put a battery in it and fire it up. If you want to know any more specifications on this, I'll put a link in the description. You can go check it out there. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. It was a total blast on a beautiful sunny but yet freezing cold day in the UK. So what's my thoughts on the FMS Suzuki Jimny 1.6? Well, we'll start with the positive. It is beautiful looking, great scale Jeep. The 1.6 scale really makes it really does. The attention to detail that they went to was really good. I love the way they got the steering wheel moving and the way you've got all the pedals and the dash. It just looks the part, and now it's got a bit of dirt on it, it looks even better. Now we come on to the things that are a little bit of a negative. First one is the wheel on the back just fell off. Now once I got back, I actually had a look, and it was this part that failed, and it seemed to fail on two sides. It sits in between the wheel here, and then there's a clamping force on the outside, and it actually disintegrated inside and also on the outside. So this part needs to be made better. I can understand why, because it's got so much leverage on it that this little tiny piece of plastic, as the vibrations and things like that, it just eventually fatigue got in there and broke it. So really I think that should be a metal part. It didn't damage the back of the truck, so if I had a replacement one of these I could just swap it over, but I get the feeling that they're going to start to fail. Or maybe it's just my one, I was just unlucky that when it was fitted at the factory it was over tightened or something like that. But as you can see, the wheel is a standard wheel, so you can use it. I'm not too bothered. I kind of like it up here, so I might do something about sticking it up on the front, maybe, I don't know. Or it just sits perfectly well in the back there as well, so I'm not that bothered on that front. One thing that I mentioned earlier, and yes, it happened to me, I've lost a indicator. It disappeared randomly while I was out. Stupidly, I should have just glued them in. When I mentioned it before that they were a bit loose, you've got to be careful. They do pop out very easy. So if you get anything touches the inside, they just pop out. So I'll have to source one of those and see if I can come up with something. But if you're going to get one of these, make sure you glue those in. I didn't have any problems with the back. Back ones seem to be a bit different design, but the front ones just pop out. So there you go, I was right. I lost one, even though I kind of knew I was going to. What else? The electronic speed controller in this, the drag brake is very, very strong, and I don't think you can change it. So for a trail truck, I'd like it to sort of slow down where it just sort of stops constantly. The drag brake's set right high, but I don't think you can change it. I could be wrong on that. But this truck, crying out for something like the Hobbywing Fusion in it. I'm pretty sure you could fit a Hobbywing Fusion motor in it, or something like that, or a Holmes Hobby. Then you will get a lot more sort of control. The servo, no problems at all from the steering, that felt fine. Yes, I think you could also mess around with the suspension a little bit, making it a little bit softer, and I'll probably do that off camera. So all in all, I'm super chuffed with it, and I'm going to mod it for sure. It's just crying out to have some work done on it, so that's what the plan's going to be. Anyway, thanks very much. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.